Y'all should know I love Elden Ring. It's pretty much the ultimate FromSoft experience, but there is something missing. Demons. Where are they, Miyazaki? You start with Demons' Souls', and it's named after Demon. Then we do some Dark Souls with demons as the default reskin boss you just use over and over again, but for your magnum opus, you exclude all those caked up Cambions? On my quest to find the most fun character to play in Elden Ring, I decided to take a run as Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, and this is where I discovered the reason for the lack of demons in the lands between. If you play a Demon Slayer in Elden Ring, you're kind of a god. I do these runs live on my Patreon at the $1 tier. I could do it on Twitch, but then I'm asking for money in 2 different places. That seems kind of stinky. And speaking of stinky, let's clear the world of any stinky demons. We're kicking things off as a samurai for the Uchigatana to start the game. This will actually be our Nichiren blade for the entirety of the run. I thought about using the meteoric ore blade since it's black, but because that's a special weapon, you can't infuse it with Ashes of War or buff it with spells. If we want water or fire breathing techniques, it's just not gonna work. Uchi is Gucci, and it'll save us time. I hate farming items. We don't fight the grafted Scion. You can get killed by it, or kill it for a weapon and a shield, then get killed by the game anyway.
You're punishing me for being alive!
That's the general idea, baby.
Third option, do it yourself, then wake up in Limgrave. Basic opening stuff, crafting kit, getting a horse, getting the whetstone, but someone in my chat let me know I can turn off tutorials. It even carries over into future playthroughs. It's so dang helpful if you're playing a lot of Elden Ring, I highly recommend it. On our way to the basic dragon, we make friends with a large lad in a less large hole. I get behind him and slam him until he gets a release. Our friendship with Alexander is actually one of the most important pieces of this puzzle, and it's why this build becomes the strongest so far. After slamming that boy's behind, I'm on my way to church like a nice good boy, but there's a skeleton man in a boat, and I'm just gonna kill him. Skeletons aren't demons, but they're demon adjacent. I'm sure we'll find some demons soon. I go to church, but forget to grab the physic flask like an absolute dingus. Mistakes like these are such a time killer. I'm a little worried it's gonna hold this run back. Back to standard stuff. Bestial Sanctum, run to Fort Pharaoh, remember to grab the Limgrave pickle, and slap the dragon's butt until it dies. This is where we start eating vegetables. There are some stat minimums that we have to hit that aren't really all that helpful to us. Notably, 10 Arcane, 12 Faith, and eventually 16 Intelligence. It's another annoying barrier that could prevent us from reaching S tier. I mean, look at this. I got killed by a rat. Would Batman have gotten killed by a rat? We need something stronger. I'm thinking a flame breathing technique. I know Tanjiro gets water breathing first, but if getting abilities out of order upsets you, go touch some grace and get some maidens. Our flame breathing technique of choice is being held by an invisible dung beetle in Caelid. It's kind of hard to track down, but there's 3 big old dogs that come in and try to help. Occasionally they chomp me too, but I know they were aiming for the dung beetle. That was just an accident. We get it. It's awesome. Let me give you kind of a bad demonstration. So this is Nerd Juice. He's vulnerable to fire damage. I press the weapon art button and I do fire damage. Pretty neat, right? It's a decent tool against NPCs. Certainly not bad, but it gets busted on bosses. What about NPC bosses? Like Patches? Well, no, he's just an NPC with a boss's health bar. Good for Patches though. He deserves the title of a boss, especially since he gives us pickles and a pickle recipe. Tanjiro loves pickles. It's a canon fact. They boost experience. This putrid avatar is a much better way to demonstrate how effective the flame breathing technique is. 2 great bonuses here. First, it's got fire damage. It's a pretty great damage type, with really only the fire giant and magma worms resisting it. I'm sure there are other bosses out there in the world, but on the main path through the game, it's really effective, especially against the Erd Tree trio. That's the Erd Tree Avatar, Putrid Avatar, and Ulcerated Tree Spirit bosses. Basically, if they hang out at the bottom of a minor Erd tree, they don't like fire. But even better, the Flame of the Redmanes does a ton of damage to an enemy's stance. I'm pretty sure that's the official term. I've also called it poise and posture in the past, whatever. Basically, every hit you do against an enemy builds up to breaking their stance, letting you get in for a big critical hit. Or, what I like to do on most enemies, get a little combo in. I think it does more damage. Beating the Putrid Avatar here gives us the Flame Shrouding Cracked tier, which boosts fire damage by 20% for 3 minutes. It's a huge boost and will give us what we need to get even more money. But first, a few errands. Remember how we missed that Physic Flask? We need to get the Physic Flask. Then the Quick Step Ash of War and a sword to put it on. Quick Step is a dash like a roll that's not a roll and costs magic. Why use it? Well, in the abandoned cave, we need to get through a bunch of poop on the floor. If you roll, the poop keeps building up even even when you step off of the poop floor. But Quick Step lets you step over the poop without it sticking to your shoes. And then I got poisoned anyway right before the boss fight. Shoot. These are the Clean Rot Knights. They give you the Golden Scarab, which boosts your rune acquisition by 20%. It's really good. The earlier you can get it in the game, the more it pays off. And they're weak to fire, so the flame breathing technique is super effective against them. That's why on my first official run of this, I tried to beat them before doing anything else. And then I died for like 40 minutes, so I reset, because that's not actually faster, and it's kind of unfair to this build. But on this run, which is the actual official run, we had a 20% fire damage boost and around 30 more levels, so it was easier. Who could have guessed? Good news though, I learned nothing and went for the Putrid Avatar and the Dragon Barrow. It's the same boss we fought for the Flame tier, but since it's in an end game area, it does like twice as much damage. Basically, we're not allowed to get hit. I said I would try it 3 times, then we'd give up. I tried 3 times, died 3 times, and gave up. I'm a man of my word. So instead, we just make progress and go to fight Margit the Fell Omen. Omens are kind of the closest thing to demons in Elden Ring. They're people born with horns and God hates them arbitrarily. Sometimes they're evil like Moog, but sometimes they're just like people like Margit. Killing him feels bad, but he's mean to me, and it gives us another pocket if he dies, so let's kill Margit. Takes 3 fire-breathing attacks to stun him, then a crit, repeat. Dodge the flurry of attacks, and eventually we'll come out on top. And then he says, we have a meager flame. Meager flame? Are you sure? Seems pretty substantial when I used it to bully you to death. You know what? Let's get it hotter for when we see him again. Let's go kill some gods. Demigods, I guess. Still impressive. Before we do that, we gotta run a couple of errands. Head around Stormville Castle to Lernia of the Lakes, grab some rocks, grab some other rocks, grab, yes, more rocks, and kill another dung beetle for the Bloodflame Blade. Another way we're gonna put fire on our sword way later. Now back to Limgrave for even more stones. Try not to fall off the bridge when you grab those. I fell off the bridge. There are enemies around, so I can't fast travel, but I bet this big bonfire has a grace.
Oh, okay. There's a bonfire over there. I bet there's a grace over there. What's that? Oh, there might not be a grace over here.
There's a dragon here. Fine. Needed some runes to level up the Uchi anyway. And the dragons are really easy with the flame breathing technique. You can aim it up at their head, which takes extra stance damage, knock them down, then slash them up with the Uchi for the bleed. The bleed does more damage than a critical hit, and you get the damage from the combo too. It's pretty nice. I level the Uchi up to +7, and then we go grab some fireflies to make pickles later. While there, I noticed a rune bear with glowing eyes. That means it's gonna give us way more runes when it dies, so I baited into fighting another bear, then finish it off with some fire. Free level, kind of. If you count fighting the bearskin duo as free. With our katana leveled up, I want to try that Putrid Avatar in the Dragon Barrow once more. I like one of the tiers it drops, the Opaline Hard tier, which gives you a 15% bonus resistance to non-physical damage. It says all damage, but it's lying. The big reason I'm going for this avatar is it drops more runes than that lazy dragon from the beginning of the game. It's a ton of extra levels early in the game, which will make everything faster. And yeah, this time it's so much smoother. God bless the flame breathing. Now we need to get some proper outfits. Really could have done this any time, I just didn't want to. I grabbed 3 silver foul foots, which boost your item drop chances, then head over to the Weeping Peninsula. A Knight's Cavalry spawned, a roaming boss that only shows up at night, and it seems kinda evil, so I killed it. Tanjiro wouldn't let a ring wraith run around, that's bad. And now we start farming.
Farming? Really? Man of your talents?
We're looking for the Guardian set, which is what these branch-wielding weirdos are wearing. There's an Erdtree avatar in the same area I want to farm, and I don't want to deal with it every time, so I just burned it down. But also, the Erdtree avatars have similar movesets to the demons from Dark Souls, so maybe I'm demon slaying when I'm taking them down, even though they explicitly work for the god in the game. Oh, whoops. Our foul foots last for 1 run each. There's 10 Guardians in this area that normally have a 1.5% drop chance to give us the armor we need. God, I should just build a character that wears one of the starting sets again. With 3 runs of boosted farming, we do not get the drop. We get the drop the first run after we ran out of the boosts. Same thing happened in the Toph run. Weird. Now we can start going for the demigods. First, Godric the Grafted. Definitely the most evil feeling of the demigods available to us. Well, maybe Moog, but he's really far away, so we're gonna do Godric instead. He kills people and glues their limbs to himself. It's messed up, but also really easy. Couple fire-breathing attacks. He gets his stance broken. We can maybe get some bleed going when he cuts off his own arm. Dude cannot stop removing limbs. And then phase 2 we stun him and end him real fast. It was getting a little late, so I called it a night and came back 2 days later, kind of forgetting where I was. But it looked like we didn't have an upgraded weapon yet, so that's always a good idea. The Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel is the fastest way to do that. The Crystallion is hanging out at the bottom. I wasn't sure if our flame breathing technique would break its stance since it has funky armor, but it definitely did. So that's a win. Now we're gonna climb the ruin-strewn precipice. It's got a bunch of smithing stone 4s, and I can blow up the miners. If you hit one of the ones that's carrying fire rocks on their back with a fire weapon, they blow up. It's hilarious. Whoops, we were doing a bit too well and forgot to get spirit ashes to cheat not only the game, but also ourselves. Right at the beginning of the game, there's a gargoyle-blocked area called the Fringe Folk Hero's Grave. It sucks. There's a bunch of chariots to trample you, and if you don't memorize their patterns, you're gonna die. I have memorized their patterns because I've died a lot to it in my home runs. I spent like 2 hours here getting trampled when I played this for the first time. At the bottom is an ulcerated tree spirit. It doesn't like fire, and we have fire. Neat. It drops the spirit ashes for Banished Knight Oleg, or Inosuke 1 as I'm calling him. We'll get a better option for him later. This is really just a guy with 2 swords, but it could be helpful. Not right away. I kind of forgot to level my mind stat enough to spend magic on summoning him, so Magma Worm is a solo fight, but that's fine. It's easy. It resists fire a lot, but still takes stance damage from the Flame of the Redmanes, so the strategy is simple. Flame the head to stun it, then regular sword combo the body for bleed and actual damage. Magma Worm easy, we know that by now. Ride up the elevator and touch Grace in Altus. Then we can go to a party in Caelid. The party is killing another demigod, Star Scourge Radahn. Why do I always choose Radahn? Because he's the coolest. And also he gives us the most runes, but mostly he's the coolest. I do this fight like 3 times a week at this point. I've just kind of got it down. You sprint perpendicular to the gravity arrows right before he shoots them. Summon all your pals and find a way to break that stance. This time we can break the stance so fast we actually do it twice before phase 2 starts. Pairing that with the bleed from our Uchigatana, and Radahn is at 25% of his health by the time phase 2 begins. Also, phase 2 starts with him summoning meteors, which also means free hits, and he's dead. Wow. It's kind of funny that we're using the Flame of the Redmanes. He's the leader of the Redmanes, so yeah, that's funny. We level up our mind stat to summon Inosuke 1. It's great. Let's go do the no fun zone. Maybe I'll do anything else instead. Yeah, let's run errands. Back in Lernia, I'm gonna try and complete the Alexander quest, which I didn't do in the practice run and forgot how to do. So after killing another Knight's Cavalry because it got in our way, I find a hole, and there's no friend in my hole. I was so upset, I fought another Tibia Mariner. It rode a boat on land. That only makes me more upset. I thought I screwed up Alexander's quest, so I just headed back to Altus and killed off the Demi-Human Queen for the Ritual Sword Talisman. It boosts damage by 10% when you're at full health. It's really good, and the Demi-Human Queen is so easy. There's no reason not to get it. And then I remembered I had to go to dinner with Alexander before he goes in the hole. Back in the arena, we fought Radahn. Alexander is disappointed because he wasn't more helpful in the fight. It's kind of sad, but he wants to become a stronger warrior. If this was an anime, it would be time for a training arc, but it's a FromSoft game, so instead he just eats people. He eats so many people, he gets Winnie the Poohed in that hole in Lernia, and unlike the first hole, we can't get him out dry. We need to get him slippery before we hit it from the back. That means it's time to ride an elevator down to the Saoirse Ronan River Basin, where a merchant will sell us the recipe for lubricant. We also need a container for lubricant, then we can lube up the guy in the hole and slap his butt until he gets a sweet release. It's less sexy than it sounds. Back up to Altus, I open up the chest that has the Pearl Drake Talisman, and don't grab the Pearl Drake Talisman. My chat apparently noticed and didn't tell me. Please join the Patreon and join my chat and help me. Past another Magma Worm, Alexander's hanging out in some lava, so we make the conversation a little bit faster. His power-up strategy is cannibalism and lava baths. Obviously, he doesn't realize this is anime. The ultimate power is so much more simple. Now we're going back to plot. The Draconic Tree Sentinel is gatekeeping the royal capital, and I won't stand for gatekeeping. Could you imagine a weeb gatekeeping? We summon Inosuke 1 for the first time. He hasn't been leveled up yet at all, so he dies, and we do too. But round 2, I get the rhythm down. The flame breathing technique continues to carry us through. Stun the Tree Sentinel with 2 attacks, then jump attack, then 2 more stuns, and so on. Now, we're living large in the city. There I roast another Erd Tree avatar. Maybe they're demons. The Erd Tree is bad, so its avatars are bad for sure. Roasting this is for the Lord's Rune, which is 50,000 runes, or about a free level at this point, and it takes almost no time. A little further down, I get blown off the roots by a gargoyle and die. But why do we fall off the roots? It's so that we can learn to get back on. I run through and grab the Ritual Shield Talisman, which will boost our defense at full health. It's nice because our armor is pretty terrible. We stop back at the Round Table Hold and get another pocket, then go fight a ghost for our final pocket. Are ghosts demons? Close enough. The Godfrey Ghost is pretty simple. He swing axe, he stomp ground, he gets stunned by flame, and get knocked down. Inosuke dies again. I think I should either upgrade him or get a better version. Side quest time. Carry a manor. It's spooky. There's lots of hands and another ghost. The Loretta Ghost is easy. I think you're meant to fight her earlier in the game. She's gatekeeping Ronnie, and we need to make friends with Ronnie before we can get the stuff to upgrade better Inosuke. But if we want better Inosuke, we need to take revenge against the guy who didn't recognize our cool frame Morgoth. I assumed I could take him down without help. Just use the flame breath technique, critical hit, and win. The problem is, without assistance, he's kind of fast, and we're not able to get the red main flame off as often as I need to. So I died, and then I come back in with our sister and our pig friend. Our sister's been on our back since she gave us a horse, and she shoots lasers in this game. Maybe it was a translation error. With 2 other people distracting Morgoth, the stunlocks start coming, and they don't stop coming. When he starts coughing, I go for some slashes to try and proc a bleed, but yeah, it's easy. Now that he's dead, his dad has locked up the tree. Nezuko thinks we should burn it down, and yeah, fine, anything for my favorite sister. There's nothing like the bond between siblings, even if the siblings are the Fell twins, 2 ugly omens who I'm pretty sure are evil. I'll count them as demons. Stunlock, slash, repeat, and get the spirit ashes for Omen Killer Rollo. Here's a nice demonstration against my Mimic tier. Like Inosuke, Rollo has an ugly mask and 2 serrated swords. He also breathes fire sometimes, but that's not up to me. Maybe there's a side adventure where Tanjiro teaches him flame breathing. Maybe. Let's run more errands down to the bottom of Nokron to get a magical statue that flips the Carrion Study Hall upside down. Flip that Carrion Study Hall upside down, grab the Deathmark Blue Skidoo into the Ainsel River main, and start grabbing Ghost Glovewort. One set is guarded by Phalanx from Demons' Souls'. That's a demon. Let's slay it. Like a demon slayer. We've got to Kimetsu, that no Yaiba. Now that we have all the upgrade material we need, I just kill the Rot Dragon and Kaled for enough runes to level him up all the way. The fight is so quick, dragons already get rocked by the flame of the Redmanes, even if they resist fire. Rot Dragon doesn't. Stunlock and Slash, it's a great combo, really brings the pain. But now, it's time for us to experience pain.
It takes my pain away. It's a lie. Kiss with open eyes.
First, the pain of errands. We haven't water breathed yet, which is a bunch of blue magical stuff on the sword in the anime. In the anime, I think it's water. There's no water spells in this game, but there is blue magic stuff. Scholar's Armament is a spell that puts magic on a weapon. I forgot how to get it and brought a scroll to the Dog Pope. It wasn't helpful, but I got to say hi to the Dog Pope, so it's fine. Scholar's Armament is actually being held by the sorceress Selen, who's guarded by the Mad Pumpkinhead. This is a boss in Limgrave. It dies. Selen is unlocked and she's ready to start selling some sorceries. That pun was so bad it broke my internet. The internet came back and I went to fight the fire giant with the water breathing spell. The fire giant resists fire damage pretty heavily, believe it or not, so I buff with magic, but honestly, I should use the Bloodflame. Both Bloodflame Blade and Scholar's Armament add extra damage to a weapon, but don't change the base damage. That means even though the fire giant resists fire, we'd still be dealing extra damage. It's not like it would heal him or make us deal less damage. The Bloodflame would also double our bleed effect, which is really good against the fire giant since it does a total percentage of your HP instead of just a flat number. But we gotta do water breathing at some point. People got salty I didn't use a bigger, slower rock. in the Toph build. So, hey, look, it's water breathing. It's blue. The sword is blue. It's a blue sword. I did it. Phase 2 starts, and yeah, back to the fire. When the fire giant gets low, I shoot my Flame of the Red Mane. Like the magma worm, he resists the damage but takes the stun. Then I can stab him in the eye with a crit. God, I love critically hitting the fire giant. Easy first try win, even with the chore spell I'm not using again. Sorry I'm spamming the best options, I guess. Burn down the tree for Nezuko, wake up in Faram Azula, and run a bit to the Grace. Then buy a sacred seal from the Twin Maidens so we can eventually use the Blood Flame against the Godskin duos. Speaking of, someone pointed out, there's a Grace right outside the door to the Godskins, just one floor lower. It's the most useful comment I've ever read, and I've been making YouTube videos for 4 years, so thank you. I summon Bernal, a veteran demon slayer, and load up the Bloodflame Blade onto my sword. It's another way to use a fire sword. This one just, again, doubles the bleed effect on our katana. The Godskins are pretty weak to bleed, so it helps clear out the chubby one early, while Bernal solos the skinny one. They actually both die around the same time. Then we take out another chubby one and another skinny one and win first try. I've always thought the Godskin duo was a very cool and fair boss. If you can't beat it, that's really on you. Just kidding, this boss sucks. So if the Godskins weren't a pain, what is? Before Malekith, we get a little lost, right up an elevator, die, come back and find our best buddy, Alexander. We've been through so much together. I spanked him, we fought a god, I lubed him up and then spanked him, watched him take a bath, and now here we are. He's gonna help us fight Malekith, right? Wrong. He wants to be the ultimate champion, and beating us would prove that he is. Or he'll die by our hand and have the most honorable death he can. All this time, I thought he was our best friend trope, but he was actually our anime rival trope. And in true anime rival fashion, he doesn't take fire damage. Oh god, oh no. He still takes stance damage though. So I just have to stun lock him, get my crits in, and get my win. I couldn't hold back. It's not what he would have wanted. After pounding him for about 2 minutes, he explodes all over us one last time. He gives us the Shard of Alexander, which boosts the damage from our Ash of War by 15%. That's the Flame of the Red Mane. It was already busted. Now it's anime protagonist busted. After being humbled by gravity and failing the swag jump, I grab the Dragon Crest Shield Talisman, which boosts our physical defense, and head to fight the Draconic 3 Sentinel. Hey, wanna see how good the Shard of Alexander is? This dude gets roasted. He resists fire damage. Okay, I don't care. You're toast anyways. 2 hits from the Flame of the Red Mane. Then I hit him. Then do it again, and now he's dead. Now, the pain continues. It's Malekith time. If you didn't know, phase 1, he's fast, he throws rocks, he makes shockwaves. It's scary, but I can get through it pretty easily with a little strategy you might have heard of. Spamming that red main flame and stun locking him, then slashing for bleed. But phase 2 is where it gets intense. He starts jumping around. He's got a giant sword. He does damage over time. He gets stunned in 3 hits, then Inosuke kills him off screen. Huh. Maybe the pain wasn't for us. Yeah, I think it was for Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing! Should have known that heat was coming, chump. He dies in like 4 seconds. Now, detour time. We're gonna actually grab the Pearl Drake Talisman, which boosts non-physical damage resistance, and the Fire Scorpion Charm to lower our damage resistance and boost our fire damage by 12%. Flame of the Red Mane is fire damage. Not sure if you knew that. Our last boss before the final boss is Godfrey, or as his friends call him, Horror Lou. Things start off well, couple flames, stun lock, then a crit. But then, phase 1.5 begins. His first giant stomp is slow. He really charges it up and shoots a shockwave that stretches across the whole arena. Then he starts doing it faster. You can try and stun him while he's doing the first one or prepare to roll. After that, it's kinda hard for me to get my flames out and he kills Inosuke. Not good. Still, I was able to make it to phase 2 and that's where things got really intense. He can throw us in the air, rip us in half, chase us down with a flurry of attacks, get stun locked really fast and then die. Oh, first try Godfrey. Wait, he said our strength befits a crown. First try Horror Lou. He was our friend all along. But you know who isn't my friend? The goddamn Elden Beast! Good news though, gamers. I deal fire damage, the thing the Elden Beast is weakest to. After a quick field trip to activate Godric's Great Rune, which gives you +5 in every stat, I'm gonna give this slimy slug some hands. First though, we need to give Radagon some hands, and he has hands of his own. But hey, see that damage? Yeah, Radagon ain't that hard. So, Elden Beast. I try to swap all my talismans for the offensive ones. It might seem a little risky, but the best way to beat the Elden Beast is just to end it as quickly as possible. I flame breathe, avoid its flame breath, then flame it from the back as well. When it busts out the magical ring, I've got another new tool. As it hops into the air, I make a full 180 and dash the other way. I've said before, he likes to use this attack and then fly to the opposite end of the arena. And I guess I always thought he was flying to the opposite end of the room that you were on. Turns out, he literally just flies to the opposite side of the arena that he was on, so you can punish it after he uses it. Nice. Unfortunately, I rolled bad here, 3 times in a row. It's embarrassing. Then I got squished by Radagon after being a bit greedy. Here comes the death chain. How many will it be this time? 10, 20, 30, 40. Well, Sonic Youth, no, it's just those 2. On my 3rd try, I was burning super hot. And so is the Elden Beast. If it seems like that was easy, yeah, it was really easy. We beat the game in 5 hours, 21 minutes in-game time. That beats our former best time by over 40 minutes. We only died 14 times, which is less than half of the deaths on our best run, and killed 30 bosses, which is 1 more than the most bosses in our previous most bosses run. So it's better in every category by a substantial amount. That means everyone's going down. S tier is for Tanjiro and Tanjiro only, until obviously someone else can go this fast. So why is it so good? 2 things. The Flame of the Red Mane is busted. Breaking stance that fast is incredibly valuable, and the damage is great before that too. The other is Bleed, which cleared bosses like the Fire Giant and Godskin duos and their obscene health bars. If you want to watch these runs live, sub to my Patreon. I try to stream a couple times a week. And if you like Dungeons & Dragons, go check out this other channel I have where I make characters in Dungeons & Dragons. I've done it over 400 times. Go check it out.